Hello everyone, welcome back to AI for Product Managers episode 7. Today's topic is one of my favorites because it separates good AI products from legendary ones. So here is the question. Why is it that some AI products get better every single day while others stay exactly the same? Why can't Apple Music match Spotify's recommendations even though they have the same song catalog? And why can't any mapping app catch waves even with better technology, right? The answer is the AI flywheel, okay, a self-reinforcing cycle where every user makes the product better for the next user. And once it's spinning, it's nearly impossible for competitors to replicate it. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how it works, break down 5 real-world examples, and give you a framework to design a flywheel into your product. This is the concept that turns good products into trillion-dollar companies. Okay, let's get into it. So, the best AI products don't just use the data, they create data with every interaction, right? So, 10x harder to compete with a spinning flywheel and $1 trillion plus dollars combined value of flywheel companies, and 80% of AI moats come from the data, not from the models. And here is what we are covering today: what the AI flywheel is and why it's the ultimate competitive mode, the 4 components every flywheel needs, and 5 real world case studies: Tesla, TikTok, Spotify, Waze, and Google, and how to design a flywheel into your own product, and a flywheel canvas framework you can fill out tomorrow. And one stat to set the stage: 80% of AI moats come from data advantages, not from the model advantages. The model is the easiest part, but the data flywheel is the hardest part. And that's a product problem, not an engineering problem. So let's dig into it. Yeah. So the AI flywheel is a self-reinforcing cycle with 4 stages, like more users generate more data, and more data improves the AI. Better AI creates a better product, and finally, a better product attracts more users again. And the cycle repeats faster and faster. The key insight is that this is a compounding effect and it's not a linear growth, it's exponential, right? Every revolution of the flywheel makes the next revolution easier and faster. Think about it like a physical flywheel and a heavy wheel that's hard to start spinning. The first few pushes take enormous effort, right? But once it's moving, momentum takes over. Each push adds to the existing momentum, and eventually it's spinning so fast that no competitor can catch up because they would need to start from the zero, right? Amazon's Jeff Bezos famously drove the Amazon flywheel on a napkin. You know that? Lower prices attract more customers attract more sellers create more selections, and more selection attracts more customers again. The AI flywheel is the same concept applied to intelligence. So here is what makes it a moat. A competitor can copy your model architecture, they can hire the same engineers, they can raise more money, but they cannot copy your data, right? If you have 5 years of user interactions training your model, a new competitor starts at zero. That's gap only grows over the time. So for a flywheel to work, you need all 4 components. Miss one and the wheel stops spinning. The component one is data generation. So every user action must create training data without extra effort from the user. The best flywheels use implicit signals, clicks, time spent, skip scrolls. The user does not even know they are training the model. They are just using the product, right? If you require users to explicitly rate or label the things, you will get 100x less data. So Netflix learned this. They moved from star ratings to thumbs up or down because the friction was too high. And even better, they now primarily use like watch behavior as the signal. Did you finish the show? Did you rewatch it? That's more honest than any rating, right? And coming to component 2, model improvement. More data must actually make the AI measurably better. This sounds obvious, but it's not guaranteed. Sometimes more data just adds noise. You need to verify that your model's performance improves as data volume increases, right? If it plateaus, you might need better features, but not more data. And component 3, user value. Better AI must create tangible value that users notice and appreciate. If your model improves from 80% to 85% accuracy, but users can't tell the difference, then the flywheel breaks, right? The improvement needs to translate into a better experience, like less time searching, more relevant users, and fewer errors. And coming to component 4, which is growth loop. So, better experience must attract more users or increase the engagement of existing users. This is where the flywheel connects back to the data generation. So, more users means more data means better AI, better AI means again a more users. So, without this growth mechanism, you have a good product but not a flywheel. Okay, all four must be present. Data without improvement is a data warehouse. Improvement without user value is nothing but a science project, but user value without growth is a nice product that doesn't compound at all. So you need the full cycle. Let's look at five companies that have built incredible flywheels, starting with Tesla. Tesla's flywheel is arguably the most powerful in the automotive industry. Here is how it works: the data generation. So every Tesla on the road is a rolling data collection machine. Over 6 million cars worldwide, each with 8 cameras sending driving data back to Tesla 24 by 7. Okay, so every time a Tesla encounters a tricky interaction, a near miss, an unusual road condition, that's a training data for Tesla. So, coming to model improvement, Tesla uses this data to train their self driving neural networks. More edge cases seen means better handling of rare situations. They also run shadow mode. The AI makes predictions about what it would do, compares to what the human driver actually does, right? And learns from the differences, all without the driver knowing it. And coming to user value, autopilot literally gets better while you sleep. So Tesla pushes over the air updates that improve the driving data. So your car is better on Tuesday than it was on Monday, right? So no other car company can do this. And finally, the growth loop. My I can say my car drives itself better every month, right? It's an incredibly powerful word of mouth story, right? It justifies the premium pricing, it creates the loyalty as well. And every new Tesla buyers adds to that data pool, so making every other Tesla better. So here is the mode. A competitor like Ford or GM can build cameras and sensors. They can hire engineers as well, but they cannot buy 6 million cars worth of real world driving data, right? So Tesla's flywheel took 10 years to build. A new entrant starts with zero. That gap is nearly impossible to close. And TikTok, case study 2. TikTok has the fastest spinning flywheel in social media. Here is why it beat Instagram, YouTube, and every other platform at short form videos, right? Coming to data generation for TikTok is every single interaction is a signal, not just likes and comments. Those are explicit. TikTok tracks watch time to the millisecond. You know that? Did you watch 3 seconds and swipe? That's a negative signal. Did you watch it twice? Strong positive. Did you share it? Even strong positive, right? Stronger. And billions of these micro signals every single day. Model improvement for TikTok is their algorithm can learn your taste in under 30 minutes of usage. Do you know that? Think about that 30 minutes. So it personalizes your For You page with extreme precision because it has so many signals per user per session and user value. The result is addictive content discovery. The average TikTok session is around 95 minutes. Users find content they didn't even know they wanted. That's the magic of a well tuned recommendation engine. And coming to growth loop, so high engagement means creators post more content because they get views. More content means better recommendations are possible, and better recommendations means more users will join. So more users means ultimately more signals. So the flywheel spins faster and faster. The mode is the Instagram Reels has similar technology, but TikTok has years more behavioral data and the culture of creation that generates more diverse content, right? The algorithm is only as good as the data feeding it, and TikTok's data advantage is massive. Now, let me quickly hit three more examples to show how the flywheel applies across different industries. Spotify every play, skip, save, and playlist addition is a preference signal. Discover weekly gets better every Monday because it learned from your behavior all the week. So 40% of all Spotify listening now comes from algorithmic recommendations. Okay. So Apple Music has the exact same song catalog, but they can't match Spotify's personalization because they have fewer users generating fewer signals. So same content, weaker flywheel. Coming to ways, every driver's GPS speed is real-time traffic data. More drivers on a road means more accurate traffic predictions for that road. The flywheel is geographic. Waze dominates city by city. So once they have enough drivers in a city, their ETS become the most accurate, which attracts more drivers, which makes ETS even better, right? A new competitor with 100 users in a city simply cannot match the accuracy of 150 million users data. Coming to Google search, the original AI flywheel spinning for 25 years. So 8.5 billion searches per day. Every click is a relevant signal. Every time you click the third result instead of first, Google learns that the third result was better for that query. So Bing has essentially the same technology, like same transformer models, same infrastructure budget, but Google has 10x the search data, right? That's why Google is still dominant despite Microsoft's massive AI investment. So the pattern across all five, the technology is replicable, but the data is not. The flywheel is the motor. Let me contrast flywheel products with static AI products so you can identify which category your product falls into, right? So flywheel products get better with every user. So their competitive mode grows over the time. Data is the secret weapon, and the marginal cost of improvement decreases, right? And each additional user cost almost nothing but adds value to everyone. So these tend towards winner take most dynamics, and static A products static A products deliver the same quality regardless of user count. Competitors can replicate them easily because the model is trained once and deployed, and there is no learning from user interactions. Right? These products compete on price because there is no differentiation that compounds. So a GPT wrapper that calls the open A API, which is static, anyone can build the same thing, right? A product that fine tunes on user interactions and get better for each customer. So the fly that is called flywheel. So much harder to compete with. Now, what signals can you use to power your flywheel? So there are four types: implicit signals, clicks, scrolls, time spent. These are like gold because users generate them without trying it. And explicit signals like ratings, thumbs up, corrections. So the higher quality but lower volume. And behavioral signals, patterns across actions like purchases sequences, right? And contextual signals like time, location, device. So use all four if you can. Now, the practical part: how do you design a flywheel into your product? The 5 steps. Step 1: identify the core AI task. What prediction, recommendation, or generation is central to your product's value? So for Spotify, it's predict what song this user wants to hear next. For Waze, it's predict the fastest route right now. So be specific to that. And step 2: map the data generation. So what user actions naturally produce training data for that AI task, for that particular AI task, right? So keyword is naturally. The best flywheels don't ask users to do extra work. The data is a byproduct of normal usage. Okay. And step 3 is close the feedback loop. This is where most products will fail. You need a direct connection between the AI's output and the user's next action. That generates more data. So the AI recommendation for a song like user plays or skip it. That play or skip is a new training data, right? So next recommendation is better. That's a closed loop. And coming to step 4, minimize the friction. Make data generation effortless, right? The best case is the user doesn't even know they are training the model. Every interaction is a signal. If you are asking users to fill out forms or rate the things, you are adding friction that will limit your data volume, right? And step 5, measure the spin. This is very critical. You need to verify that more data actually improves the model, right? Plot a model accuracy against the data volume. So if the curve is flat, you don't have a flywheel. So you have a data collection hobby. If it's still climbing, your flywheel is working. Okay, keep it that in mind. Now let me give you a framework to put all this together. I call it the flywheel canvas, like 6 boxes to fill in: core AI task, data source, feedback signal and improvement metric, user value, and growth mechanism. If you can fill all 6 boxes for your product, you have a flywheel. So if any box is empty, that's what you need to build next. Okay. So before we talk about the cold start problem, let me hit 5 common mistakes I see teams make when trying to build a flywheel. If you recognize any of this, don't worry. Now you will know how to fix them. The mistake 1: no feedback loop. You collect tons of data but never feed it back into the model. The data sits in a warehouse. The model never improves, and you wonder why your AI is not getting better. Okay, the data collection without model training is just hoarding. Okay, mistake 2: too much friction. You require users to explicitly rate or label everything: star ratings, thumbs up, feedback forms. The problem is only 1 to 2% of users will bother. Implicit signal is what they click, how long they stay, what they skip are like 100% more scalable. And mistake 3: cold start ignored. New users get a terrible experience because you have no data on them yet. They churn before the flywheel ever kicks in. You need a bootstrap strategy, and we will cover that next. And mistake 4: no measurement. You assume more data equals a better model, but you never actually verifies it, right? Sometimes more data just adds noise to it. So you need to plot model performance against data volume and confirm the curve is still climbing. And mistake 5, single user only. Your flywheel only uses individual user data, but the best flywheel learns from all users to help each users, right? Collaborative filtering, aggregate patterns, crowd intelligence. That's where the real power is. So if you are making any of these mistakes, the good news is they are all fixable. Let's tackle the biggest one, okay, which is cold start problem. I'll cover in next slide. Yeah. Now the elephant in the room, the cold start problem. How do you start a flywheel that needs data to work and when you have no data at all, right? So this is the chicken and egg problem every AI product faces. You n- you need users to generate data, but you need data to provide value to the users, right? Here are the five solutions. Solution 1, start with popular or default content before you can personalize. Show what's generally popular or trending. It's not personalized, but it's good enough to engage the users, right? Until you learn their preferences. So TikTok shows trending content to the new users. Spotify shows popular playlists. Okay. And solution 2, onboarding quiz. Ask 3 to 5 preference questions upfront. Spotify asks you to pick 3 artists you like, right? Netflix asks you to rate a few shows. This gives you an instant personalization speed without waiting for behavioral data. Solution 3, transfer learning. Use data from similar users, like users like you also liked, works with works even with zero individual history. Collaborative filter can bootstrap personalization from day one if you have enough other users, okay. And solution 4, manual curation. For your first 100 or 1000 users, have humans curate the experience. It doesn't scale, but it provides the great experience while you collect enough data for the AI to take over, right? And solution 5, incentive feedback. Reward early users for explicit signals, offer premium features in exchange for ratings, and gamify the feedback processes, right? This accelerate data collection during the critical early phase. The key insight is you don't need a perfect flywheel on the day one. You need a bootstrap strategy that provides enough value to retain the users while the flywheel builds momentum. Plan for this explicitly. Okay. Now, how do you know if your flywheel is actually spinning? You need to measure it, right? Here are 5 metrics every flywheel product should track. Data velocity. How fast is new training data being generated? Measure signals per day, labels per week. If this number is growing, your flywheel is accelerating, right? If it's flat, you have a retention problem. Model improvement rate. Is the model actually getting better over the time? So track accuracy gain per month or per data milestone. If you double your data and accuracy didn't improve, something is wrong with your learning pipeline. User value metric. All users experience better outcomes as a model improves, right? Track click through rate, engagement, satisfaction scores. The model might be improving technically, but if users can tell that, the flywheel is not translating to value at all. Okay. And retention correlation. Do users who get better AI stay longer? Segment your users by personalization, quality, and compare the retention. If highly personalized users retain 2x better, your flywheel is creating very good real value. Okay. So, on time to personalize, how fast does a product learn a new user? So, how many actions does it take before recommendations become relevant, right? If it takes 100 interactions, you might lose users before the flywheel kicks in. If it takes 10, you are in great shape. Okay. So put these on a dashboard, review them monthly. They tell you whether your flywheel is accelerating or steady or scaling. Okay. Yeah, homework time. Three things before episode 8. One, fill the flywheel canvas for your current product, all six boxes. If you can't fill a box, that's a gap you need to close. This exercise alone will clarify your AI strategy. Two is audit your data signals. List every implicit and explicit signal your product currently collects. Then ask what signals are we not collecting that we could be, right? What user actions happen that we are ignoring? And three, design one feedback loop. Pick one AI feature in your product and map out exactly how user interactions feedback into model improvement. If there is no loop, design one. So in episode 8, we are covering AI ethics and bias, what PMs must own. You will learn where bias come from. So real case studies of AI bias disasters and a bias audit checklist you can use on your own products. It's one of the most important episodes in this series. So if this flywheel concept clicked for you, subscribe and hit the bell icon. So drop a comment telling me, does your product have a flywheel? If not, what's the missing component? I'll feature the best answers in the future episode. So let me leave you with five key takeaways from today's session. One is like the AI flywheel is a self-reinforcing cycle. More users, more data, better AI, better product, and more users. It compounds, right? Two, you need all four components: data generation, model improvement, user value, and a growth loop. If you miss one and the wheel stops. Three, 80% of AI modes come from data advantages, but not model advantages. The model is the easiest part. The four, solve the cold start problem or your flywheel never starts spinning. So plan your bootstrap strategy explicitly. And five, measure flywheel health, data velocity, improvement rate, and time to personalize. So if you are not measuring it, you are guessing. Okay. So I am Pranav Harish. This is AFL Product Managers, and I'll see you in episode 8. Thank you, everyone.